Film School Slacker contains adult language and themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Film School Slacker, the podcast where I so graciously help my best friend watch through his ever-growing movie list. Today, since I'm doing the intro, it is our Flip the Script episode, which means we are watching a movie that I haven't seen and that Ian has.
Excellent.
I'm Megan.
I'm Ian.
What's up?
What's up? So this week I am very stoked because we are going to watch Coco, which is one of my absolute favorites. And my question is, what do you know about this movie?
I know it's about grandpas and the afterlife and death, and now I'm gonna be sad because it's about grandpas and death.
Yeah.
And there's a weird dog.
Yeah, Dante.
And a guitar.
He's a Sholo.
Oh, Sholo. That's what they're called. I couldn't remember. There's a guitar and Mexico, and
I love that.
That's
you're
all
not,
I got.
You're not wrong, so fair. It is one of my favorites. I did wear my waterproof mascara today.
Okay, good.
Just in preparation for this movie.
I do have makeup removing wipes if you need them.
Perfection. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so Coco. It's a 2017 animated comedy drama produced by Pixar. And, me, I'm kind of a sucker for Pixar, so no wonder I like it.
No.
It was directed by Lee Unkrich, co-directed by Adrian Molina, and produced by Darla K. Anderson, and the screenplay was by Molina and Matthew Aldrich.
Oh, and it's got, Diego Luna.
That I don't know.
Or
hold on.
Gael Garcia Bernal.
It does have Gael Garcia Bernal. Yep.
I swear to God.
Benjamin Bratt, Gael Garcia Bernal, Alana Ubach, Renee Victor. It's basically an entirely Mexican cast, or at least Mexican American cast.
Ever since Y Tu Mama Tambien, I get Gael Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna.
Fair.
Like, they are forever linked in my mind.
Yeah. Cheech Marin's in it because, of course, it's like a tiny little role because he just always is.
I mean,
he's got to be.
I'm stoked. I have purposefully avoided this movie.
Okay.
Because of the grandfathers and death aspect of it. For a little bit of backstory for people who don't know me. My grandfather, who I was very close to throughout my childhood, died when I was 14. That was kind of my first real
death experience
with death. It was after weeks in the hospital, a lot of, he's going to make it, he's not going to make it, he's going to make it, he's not going to make it. So, and eventually his body just gave up. So, I wrote a whole long essay about it, in one of my classes. I don't think it was my creative nonfiction class, but it was a creative nonfiction piece.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and I think that was honestly one of my best pieces, but yeah, so I've kind of avoided this movie because I have a feeling Pixar is gonna be dicks about it and make me cry. They always do.
They always do.
I wasn't expecting to cry during Encanto, but I cried.
Right. So this one, to me, as a movie, it might be just a little teensy bit better than Encanto in my mind. It might just be because I watched this one first.
Yeah.
Because it talks about intergenerational family trauma in a similar kind of way.
Gotcha.
But it does it in a much more personal target, like it's a targeted ancestral thing.
Right.
So moral of the story is, I am so sorry you're going to be a wreck, but we have chocolate.
We do. I also have, speaking of Cheech, I have.
There you go.
Edibles.
I think you're going to really like it. Like, you're really going to like this movie, but you might not want to watch it again.
Okay.
Like, that's going to be my guess, and I'll be curious to know where you end up at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for you to see it because I think that you're going to appreciate it a lot, but that appreciation might also include some tears.
Some tears.
So, yes.
Why am I not surprised?
Classic.
All right.
That's how I roll.
Let's
All right, let's roll this thing.
where did the remote go?
We'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Renly
ate it. Is it right there?
It's right here. It's
Perfection.
literally sitting
Right next to your
my
microphone?
hand.
Incredible.
That's how much I tried to
avoid this movie. She's just like, I don't know what happened to it. It's just gone.
Oh no, the remote disappeared.
Oh my god.
All right, let's do this for real.
Let's roll.
So I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah. I didn't take any notes because it's yours, but
Yeah.
Yeah. This one reliably makes me cry every time.
Fuck.
We were both. There was like active open tears happening,
just
and
like the
a bunch
first
of
time we
couple of
watched
us here.
Encanto, and we were both just like,
Unwell.
it's okay. We're in a safe space.
It's a safe space. That's how we do this.
So
Yeah.
we could talk about my notes.
Yeah. Lay it on me. How you doing?
So the tissue paper backstory, the tissue paper
Oh, like
cut
in the intro?
art.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that's called. I know I learned it in elementary school, but I can't remember.
Okay.
That way of telling the backstory of the papa
Family.
went out for cigarettes and never came back.
Never came home. Right.
I thought that was really creative.
Yeah.
And really helped, like...
It got you into the environment without
Yeah.
feeling like they were fully stopping and doing exposition.
It also kind of exposed you to the amount of color that you're going to see in this movie.
Yeah.
This is a crazy colorful movie.
It really is.
And it's gorgeous, and I want every part of it.
Right. You just want to like just sit in it. Yeah.
I was like, how do we get from music to shoes? Why did she pick shoes? Or whatever.
Yeah. She probably had a knack for it, and she made it
Good
work.
for fucking her.
I mean,
like
Mama
Imelda
is a strong bitch.
a
Like
fucking badass.
we love her.
I love her so much. She is, she lived all these years and, died all these years.
Right.
Thinking that, the guy
her true love.
Yeah, the love of her life just fucking abandoned her.
For music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess she must have just ignored the rise of Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yeah, because they kind of swore off music. And at the time that Mama Imelda had put down her no, music policy.
Yeah.
Was kind of before it was really easy and ubiquitous to get access to it. So, maybe Mama Imelda knew, and obviously Coco knew, but by the time that she had suppressed it... By the time
we get to Miguel,
even
they
his
didn't even
grandma,
know his name.
Yeah, even Miguel's abuela didn't really know anything about any of this. So it's an interesting... It takes on the same things that happen in Encanto from another direction.
Yeah.
In my mind, might as well just kind of get into some of this because it's interesting to me. They take it on from a different direction, and that idea is we're all allowed to have the hurt and the feeling that we have, but totally for going in and doing that thing that families do where they eliminate or forget or cut out aspects of family history are more hurtful than you probably know going into the future. It's not about your own pain, it's about what happens in your future and how it can affect your family going forward.
Well, and that gets addressed pretty early on. He's better. Abuela says something like, he's better off forgotten. Okay, but you have this big family rule. Yeah. That is based off of this guy. So in that way, you're kind of keeping they're keeping
the pain alive, but not the person.
Alive,
right.
Not the person.
Right. But it's that's not uncommon in families where it's there is a person there, and instead of allowing that person to have dimension, and they may have caused hurt to people that you care about, instead of making that exist, you just try to eliminate that person, and you just end up with the hurt.
Yeah.
And you don't know anything about anything. And as time goes on, you forget nuances of things that are important to your family.
Well, because the thing that brought up my question was like, how did Imelda not notice that Ernesto was solo? Like,
right.
Like that, I feel would have. I mean, again, and this is just me.
You're doing writer plot hole checking.
Yeah, writer plot hole checking.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you said, it's. I mean, if Ernesto de la Cruz died in like what 1942, I think he said.
Right.
This was probably having in the 30s.
30s, probably the
maybe?
early 30s.
Early 30s.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah.
I mean, newspapers were a thing, celebrities were a thing.
Right.
But if you're so heartbroken that you're just going to cut your family off from that,
right,
that, section of pop culture,
right,
if we want to call it that, then maybe maybe she just figured they went their separate ways and Hector didn't want to come home.
Right. I also think that she maybe didn't fully understand that his partner was Ernesto de la Cruz. That's my theory. And my thought process is because they looked like they were both pretty underground when they were working together. And then none of the music had any popularity until after
Ernesto,
he died. Yeah, until Hector died and Ernesto took over. I think that, and then by that point, by the time he had disappeared and had walked away and he never was able to come back, she had already instated the rule of we're not even listening to music anymore.
Yeah.
And then, like, how would they have known that Ernesto de la Cruz was playing Remember Me?
Right.
Which I think is... that's how I've always kind of chosen to understand it. And so, because the Riveras don't... listen to music that far back from the, late 30s onward.
Yeah.
They would have no idea that even now when we're in the public zeitgeist where, like, De La Cruz is this big deal, they wouldn't have known that was relevant. And
right.
Coco was not being paid attention to because she was, in, some form of dementia or something.
Yeah. So speaking of Remember Me.
Yeah.
The first time they played it in the movie, I made the note, that song is going to come back and break my heart.
You got it. You see a song. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then is Dante taking the favorite Pixar dog title away from Doug?
Oh,
from
yeah.
Up? I'm like...
And I love Doug, but
Doug.
Dante might be...
Dante turns into a flippin'
Alebrije. I know.
Good for him.
I know. What a guy.
He sprouted his little wings, and I immediately thought of... what's his name? The caterpillar from Bug's Life.
Yeah.
It was like, I am a beautiful butterfly.
Another Pixar film. Still works. I think Dante might win a little bit because of how well he was animated.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the thing is he was just so well executed.
Bones.
Nope, he was a rubbery boy that eventually turned into an Alebrije, and his way of turning into an Alebrije was so cute.
Yeah.
And like so on brand. Like he had so much personality and never spoke.
It's just like he earned the title of Alebrije.
Yeah. He was a street dog that followed his favorite
buddy.
human into the afterworld. Yeah. Like that's pretty cool.
The scene where Grandma smashes his guitar.
Yeah.
And like grabs all of his Ernesto de la Cruz shit, like discovers his secret stash basically.
Mm-hmm.
Did that give you Triton destroying Ariel's grotto vibes? Because totally. I was like, oh shit,
person that feels strong about something and then like the parental figure or like family guardian figure comes in and like smashes all of it.
No, you mustn't, you're forbidden,
and it's like, yes, that's always worked in the world of parenting.
That's totally the way that it works.
No, you're absolutely right.
The petal pathway, it's absolutely gorgeous. Were those marigolds?
Hold on,
I have a feeling they were marigolds because I have some in my garden.
Yeah, let me look.
I thought the mechanics of the afterlife were really intriguing.
Right?
Like the pedal pathway, but to get to the pedal pathway, you have to be on someone's ofrenda.
Yep.
You have to be remembered.
Yep.
And they have a way to check that.
Right. It is marigold, by the way.
Through magics.
Right, like they have infrastructure.
Yeah.
to
and
like
then
determine
the
that.
Department of Family Reunions.
Right.
I thought was really funny. The fact that they don't have bathrooms because they're just skeletons.
Right. But they eat though. They can drink
they
tequila.
Eat and drink, but they're not.
They don't
They don't drink
excrete.
or they don't excrete.
Yeah.
I guess they just soak it all into the bone.
Bones. Yeah. Or it's like it's hypothetical. I don't know. That also on the topic of the mechanics of the afterworld, the land of the dead, I assume is what they probably would call it. The idea that like if you're on more ofrendas, you have more status. I thought that was like they didn't like say it outright, but they kind of insinuated it. Yeah, like there are people that yeah, like there are people who have if you've got a strong family connection with potentially multiple ofrendas or good ofrendas, like you are dressed better.
One guy was on his dentist's ofrenda.
Right.
And that's what got him across. Like what?
Right. It's a fascinating system. And the thing I also want to point out about this is like this is all actually like you know what I mean, like this is all this is all Day of the Dead, like real
off of real Dia de los Muertos lore
traditions
yes, that's a better word. Dante doesn't have hair, and I don't have a nose. Yet here we are.
Some like, great one-liners.
Just so great.
So good. They do consider this to be a comedy drama, which I find an interesting call out.
Because literally my next note is the physical comedy that we get from Hector.
Yes,
is friggin' hilarious.
Right from the beginning with his little like snapping, like
even before that, like I can't remember an instance because I'm emotional, but like he's very Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. That level of
and that's kind of how you interact with him in the beginning. Like he is sort of the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz at first.
He's like, oh, you have a place to go? I need a thing from there. Let's go together.
Right.
It's very like it is kind of Wizard of Ozian that way.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I know we're gonna find out, but I really want to know why Hector wants to get to the other side so badly, and now I regret writing that because
now
I have emotions
about those feelings. Yes, yeah. We'll circle back on that.
The Alebrijes are a trip.
They are
just the design of each one.
Yes.
So like, what is an Alebrije? It's like a animal familiar for the afterlife.
Yeah, it's sort of my understanding
because I know they were selling little figurines of them.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and I'm like, oh, those look cool, but I don't know what those are.
Let me
because I love because
they're mythical creatures.
Yeah.
The idea is interesting. A lot of it is based around the actual designs. So a lot of it is like Alebrijes are most commonly like things you can buy.
Yeah,
like that is like their most common thing.
Like
but
toys.
Yeah, but they kind of co-opted them in because they're. It's sort of like when you say Alebrije, it's describing the presentation.
Okay.
Is what it looks like. It's sort of the presentation of like how they are designed.
Yeah.
And they can be any sort of kind of mythical creature is sort of what it sounds like.
Okay.
So it's like folk art. It's like calling out the folk art design.
I love that.
Yeah. But I mean, and then they made them like alive, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is because they did a pretty good job of taking that kind of design language from the folk art and making it into like a living thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, because I loved. Does Big Angry Kitty have a name? Do we ever get her? Does she ever get a name? Because I love Big Angry Kitty.
That's understandable.
Big panther, winged panther kitty girl thing. I don't know if it's a girl.
Oh, it does. It's Pepita.
Cute.
She has eagle wings and talons, a lizard-like tail, ram's horns, and a jaguar face.
Yeah.
Amazing. So she raised Pepita as a kitten.
Oh.
And then so that's how they're calling it out. Like, it's your, like, if there's an animal familiar in your life,
then that animal becomes
it's the same way that
Alebrije.
Right, the same way that Miguel got Dante.
Yeah, okay.
He became an Alebrije because he worked with him in life that way. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's
Imelda
so cute.
has the same relationship, and it sounds like they're basically like, there's no rules with Alebrijes. They just kind of do their thing. And so it's very possible that Dante, when Miguel actually dies for real, will be a much more, fleshed out mythical creature.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, he just happened to follow Miguel while he was still alive. Right. And so he was
like a Pokemon.
Yes. He was just a really goofy, dorky little guy, and I love that for him.
He's just the goofy dorkiest. I love him.
I am the beautiful butterfly.
I need a plushie of Alebrije Pepita.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
it's so
yesterday.
Cool.
She's so cool. And, works for a lot of plot reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I like that. I mean, this whole movie, the whole time he's in the afterlife or the land of the dead, he's indirectly learning about why all of the family traditions that he was kind of annoyed with in the beginning of the movie were important.
Right.
Because I want to say he kind of learns the hard way, because he goes to the section of the land of the dead where the non-remembered people are.
Right.
The people who don't have photos.
Right.
Or,
right. They're being forgotten.
Yeah. The people who are being forgotten.
Right.
Also, how did all this work before photography? I don't know.
I actually was thinking about that. My suspicion with that is people just got forgotten faster. Like,
it was more common.
It was
for them
more
to
common.
Be
Yeah. Like,
forgotten.
I think my suspicion is the land of the dead was probably a lot less crowded because there was just a lot less familial memory going back in time. Unless, and I could be wrong because I'm not familiar with, like, the long-term backstory of Dia de los Muertos, but if there were if they had another way of doing, you know what I mean, like maybe there was something besides just photos, like if it was going prior to the 1900s.
They also put, like, their favorite foods, their favorite drinks, the things they liked, because when Ernesto takes him through that giant warehouse of shit that people have left him,
right,
I think that probably counted.
Right.
Pre-photography.
Because if you think about it this way, my suspicion is Coco telling her family about Hector was probably more important than the photo.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It wasn't the photo specifically. The photos, I think, are good reminders, and I think that's how the modern, like, quote unquote, modern Land of the Dead keeps track.
Yeah.
But my suspicion about, like, being forgotten, if you can pass the memory verbally through the family line, I think that actually works.
More powerful, than just a photo.
Just a photo, exactly.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Also, this is just me being a bitch, but I feel like, so Imelda is talking to, she's like, I loved music. I thought it was great. Talking
to Miguel, you mean?
Yeah. So she's talking to Miguel, and she's like, then I had Coco and I wanted to put down roots, and he didn't. He wanted to go play for the world, and he thought that was more important.
Right.
I'm like, that's probably something you should have talked about before you got married.
For sure.
Like,
what? And they didn't really even, did they confirm they were married?
No, but I assume they were. It's a Catholic country.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, though.
I know, yeah.
I think that...
but also, like, he seemed like a very devoted father.
Yes.
And, we eventually find out why he didn't come back, and it wasn't of his own volition.
Right.
He was actually trying to get back.
He found that his most important... I think
that might have been a happenstance of didn't know what he had until
it was
gone.
Totally.
And then
so
he was like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
I want to see my kid. I want to see my wife. I'm
Yeah.
out of here. And Ernesto was like, I'm
Right.
nothing without you, and I'm going to steal all your shit because
Right.
I'm a piece of dirty, dirty garbage.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, that, like... And that's part of the tragedy, that he did realize... He did
Right.
get his head on straight.
He did.
Right.
Right. Yeah, he got... I mean, and I also think that, like... They've obviously done sort of like a broad strokes, leaving out a lot of room for nuance thing here, but like you can still have the thing that you're passionate about and like not just go do that full time. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing that I found to be like a little frustrating with this, but like I got the point. Like, you know, he had a dream and he was like trying to chase it.
No, that's Tangled Love.
You got a dream.
I got a dream. Aaron actually just watched that for the first time with me all the way through.
Really good movie.
It's really good.
I think that it is too bad because like if he would have just, you know, he probably left for I don't know like a month or a couple weeks or whatever and goes like, back and it would have been fine.
You can make that work. Like I know it was probably harder back in the day.
Right.
But you could leave for, you know, go do a short little tour, you know, 3-4 weeks, maybe a month, come home for a bit, then go out again. Like there was a way to make that work and it felt very black and white. Like maybe Imelda put her foot down and and gave him that ultimatum.
She might have. I don't
because it seemed to me like she wasn't gonna put up with
him continually coming in
inconsistent support.
Right. And I think that
and this is all speculation. Like I'm just talking out my ass because they didn't
they never really
any of this.
Yeah, they never really got into like the exact situation in which we discover how they left and what terms they left on.
I'm just writing fan fiction over here.
No, totally. Well, and it's interesting to think about because it does actually have an impact on how much of an overreaction I feel like Mama Imelda's having.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if she's like, we're done if you're leaving and he leaves.
That
then makes
I
sense
get that
she's kind of mad.
That
like
she's
I can get
like,
that.
fuck music. I'm done. My kid isn't going to do it. I'm not going to listen to it. It's not allowed in my house. It's not allowed near me.
Right. Like I could see her having like a total thing about that.
I get that.
However, if it's also possible that he's like, I'll be back in 3 weeks. And then like he left and then just never came back and that's when she draw the line. Like that is more tragic in some ways. Like it's all tragic either way because like it doesn't matter. Like he had a change of heart after a short time either way. So like it still makes Hector more of a sympathetic character, but it does change how I feel about Imelda's reaction. It does have an impact for me.
Yeah.
I
don't fault Imelda.
No, I don't fault. That's the thing. I don't fault anybody.
I don't fault
except
anybody.
For Ernesto.
Yeah, except for Ernesto because he's a piece of shit.
A piece of shit. Bell crushed piece of shit.
Twice bell crushed. Like,
amazing.
That was a good.
It was.
That was a good comeuppance.
Oh yeah, awesome.
I was like, I know everyone there is dead, but I really want to go to this Gatsby party.
Right.
The party at Ernesto de la Cruz's estate in the afterlife.
I like the aesthetic.
It's so good.
It was so good. The mix of sort of the kind of Mexican sort of Central American kind of like earthy visuals, like with like kind of like the design work that you see in like stonework.
Yeah.
But then like this like very
but then the
almost Art Nouveau kind of design for like the architectural high steel glass. Like it was just a really fun hodgepodge look that just made you want to walk through it.
I
like
literally want like how has Disney not put this somewhere in the parks?
Let me tell you.
Because the second they do, I am there.
Right? I am desperate for them to do like a little Coco world and do like hear me out.
They could do like the pedal path.
Yeah.
They could do...
Yeah.
Oh my God. They could do so much.
You could go up. There could be like a show up on Dela Cruz's tower. You take a little funicular up
Yeah.
there. You could do
That
like
funicular. Oh
looked
my
cool.
God.
And then that you walk in, like, first of all, they've even got a built-in thing. You'd go over the pedal bridge.
Yeah.
To get from like another part of the park. Sorry, I've been thinking about this.
No,
you'd
bring it on. I wanna hear
go
it.
in. You'd walk over the pedal bridge. You'd walk in, and you'd have like grand entry with the high up, like that beautiful entry work, high kind of Art Nouveau style entry, train station-y vibe. And you like walk in, and you can see like all these different kinds of locations. You can go down to where, you know, Hector was down below.
Yeah.
And there
on
and
the
then
water.
Right. And then you could go up and there'd be a show. You take the funicular up there. There could be like a ride that's like an Alebrije ride. Like there are so many choices. And it's
Kill
like,
for an Alebrije
I feel like Disney is just holding out and they need to just give us a Coco World.
I also bet
yesterday.
they just didn't. This movie just didn't make that much money.
That's a good question. Though the other thing is, it came out in 2017.
Yeah.
So that turnaround time for something like that, like it might be on the radar. I know that
It's probably down the road. And they're like,
I know
we'll
that
get
they're
there.
doing an expansion. They're redoing Dinoland USA in Animal Kingdom Park right now.
Okay.
And they replaced Dinoland. So the rest of the park is broken up into like kind of geographies.
Okay.
So it's like Africa, continental. So it's like continental Africa, or no, they call it equatorial Africa. And then they have
Sub-Saharan
Asia. Yeah.
Asia.
So they got Asia. And then it was like Pandora, which is like the Avatar kind of future, you know, off-world thing. And then it was Dinoland, so like extinct stuff.
Okay.
And that has gotten very sad as of late. There's still some bangers there, but it's gotten sad. So they're going to tear all of that down, and they're going to create Tropical Americas.
Okay.
And that's going to be infused with Indiana Jones,
Okay.
Encanto,
Okay.
and I can't remember if there was something else.
I would imagine Coco would be in there somewhere.
I would love to hope that would be, but we'll see. But it feels like it hasn't gotten enough love from Imagineering, and I think that the movie is so goddamn pretty that
It's
it just
so pretty.
It deserves it.
I feel like it might be a little intimidating because it's so
From
pretty.
trying to make it into a real space. That is true, because it kind of doesn't follow the laws of the real world, so
Right.
it would be certainly challenging. But they've done crazy shit before. They can make it work. So
You can
but
do
yeah,
it.
You
I
can
believe
do
in you,
it, Disney.
Disney.
You can just I give you so much money. Just like make it happen.
I give you a little money, nowhere near as much as he does.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately.
But yeah, in that ending. Do we have to talk about this?
Are we at that point in your notes?
think we're
dear.
yeah.
All right, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So, when did you start crying? At what point in the storyline did you start crying?
I felt the first tickle. So Miguel and Hector were in the little prison cell thing.
Yep. Oh, there's a name for that geographical feature in Mexico, and my parents saw one when they were in Mexico recently, but now I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Continue.
no, they're crazy,
super cool,
gorgeous. And it's not like a grotto; it's like a expanded grotto.
Yeah,
But
it's almost like a pothole.
Yeah, like a sinkhole, but
yeah,
not.
but with like water in it.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, when they were realizing that
they were family.
And when Miguel was like, I'm proud to be his family, and then Hector was, I'm proud to be his family, I was like,
and they do the grito and I know.
Whooping.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right, I'm okay. I'm not crying yet.
Okay, when did you pick up on that Hector was Miguel's like great grandfather?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I knew that already.
Oh, did you?
Just from being on the internet.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't crazy obvious.
No, in fact, it was. I was taken aback by this movie because I actually didn't pick up on it until like he got to Dela Cruz.
Okay.
Like I didn't really truly understand it until the point that he's just like from the moment he starts talking with Dela Cruz, I'm like, something's up.
Yeah, this isn't right.
This isn't right. But that was when I started to go, wait, you know what I mean? But I knew that something was different when Hector sang for the first time. But it wasn't until he talked to Dela Cruz that I kind of figured that was what was happening. But it should have been obvious in some ways. But it wasn't. Like, they did a pretty good job of not making it like they didn't beat you over the head with that.
I kind of wanted, so they mention Miguel's dimple on one side, no dimple on the other.
Dimple, no dimple. Dimple, no dimple.
That's
yeah.
I kind of wanted like a way to kind of give that hint. Might have been like Hector saying, "Wait, you only have a dimple on one side." Like,
right.
Huh? When I had skin,
right? No,
or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like my daughter had that same phenomenon.
Right.
Something like that. But whatever. It's not.
Yeah.
That's not a big enough complaint to actually register.
Right.
I can't remember when I actually started crying. Okay, so can we just like walk through it? So they're stuck.
Yep, they're stuck in the sinkhole.
Photo.
They go to get the photo. So then they get rescued from being stuck in the thing.
They get rescued by Pepita.
Yep.
And Grandma.
They all go to the thing. There's that kind of Imelda and Hector talk to each other, and she finally gets to the point where she's like, I can't forgive you, but I'm not going to let them forget you, or I will help you, or whatever. Like,
I think that's kind of where I was.
Yeah, because it's like they have this whole moment where they have to like reconcile a lot of things in a very short period of time and try to figure out where they stand.
And it's not the first time Hector has approached her either. Did you catch that?
Yes. Yeah, I keep turning you away.
Yeah.
Right. And so this idea that like
she's just been holding on to this
for so
anger
long,
even after she's dead,
and
she
sees
doesn't
him again.
She doesn't, confront him about it and be like, "What the fuck? Where were you? What happened?" And he's he respects her enough to be like, I'm not gonna push.
harass you on it. Right.
I'm not gonna harass you about it. If you don't want to see me, you don't want to see me.
Right.
But like, yeah, that's really that kind of. I think for me, it was more that relationship that struck a chord.
Oh, the Hector
and Imelda relationship.
Interesting.
Okay. That struck a chord with me rather than
Miguel
and Hector.
Okay.
And I can't pinpoint why.
Okay.
I'll probably be able to once I sleep and like
process a little
more.
I think that ultimately, like, Miguel is sort of he's the wild card to shake up an existing family pattern.
Oh yeah.
So the idea, like, I think it makes sense that you would be.
He's Stephanie Beatrice.
Oh yeah, he's Mirabelle. Yeah,
thank you.
It's the character that doesn't fit into the exceptionalism or non-exceptionalism of the family, and that's sort of his thing. So the idea, and I think it makes sense that Imelda and Hector are the more interesting relationship because they've gone for, I don't know, 90 years of hating each other, or 90 years of her like just pushing him away for forever into the afterlife.
Yeah.
And he just being like, well, shit, there's nothing I can do about that.
I can't get.
He's such a, like, how can he not be entirely beaten down yet? Like, I would be just like, you know what I mean? Like, Hector is such a fun, he's such a deep character for me. Like, there's so much happening with him.
And like,
Renly, you can't.
74 pounds of derp.
Just stands there in the middle of like an area where he can't stand. It's like, what are you doing, bro?
I had my sewing machine on the table the other day.
Yeah.
And he got caught in the wire and almost yanked my sewing machine off the table. I'm like,
just stay.
Stand still.
Oh my god.
Because he like twisted the wire around his paw and he was freaking out. And I'm like, dude,
it's like,
chill.
Just gotta turn the other way, my dude. Anyway.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hector is.
He's a really he's just an interesting character because he's lived with a lot of like internalized guilt and regret.
And there's nothing he can do about it because he's dead.
Right. And like, so
And
he just continues
there's no photo of him on an ofrenda,
Right. It's
so
just
he
because
can't.
he's got one living relative who still remembers him, and so he's just like waiting for extra death. And it's so sad when you start to like really understand the layers of him, and that's why I think the only person that can redeem him is Imelda and then Miguel. You know, like that's it. Miguel's the only link to the living world, and Imelda's the only person that can give him her blessing to do that, to get that to happen. And yeah, it's just yeah. So okay, we were walking through it. You know, they get to
Imelda and Hector have their moment. They go to the concert. And that's the point where then they like try to go get it from him, and then we somehow, after a series of just like kind of chasing underneath the stage, Imelda ends up on stage and then has the best slow motion chase scene choreographed dance in the history of media. Yeah. Where the guys are chasing her around and she's like dancing with the handheld microphone, off the other side of the stage,
like a fucking pro. Like she's been doing concerts her whole damn life.
Yeah. Which I mean, she probably sang with Hector in public a couple times, but just like.
But like it had been 90 years since she'd done that, so
but still,
it was just a cool. It's a cool bit because they prime you to feel kind of misty-eyed already, and they do this like crazy fun choreographed music bit.
I loved the "You murdered the love of my life." What'd you say?
That's what I heard too. Yeah.
And like Hector just keeps kind of poking
jiving her at it.
Like, and she's just like, I don't know what I said. Shut up. Leave me alone.
I love her.
Shut the fuck up.
She's so great. Just like, you know, because she's, you know, lived two lives. She lived the life with the love of her life, and then lived a life where she like picked up herself and her family by their bootstraps and just like got through it. Yeah, literally bootstraps.
They made those bootstraps.
Yeah, they did.
And then, you know, kept
making boots.
They made the shoes.
So, yeah, and so they finally like they save Miguel, but the photo is lost. It's very sad.
Yeah.
They get back to the thing, and like he's so sad. Like it was like, and that's where I start to really lose my shit.
I started losing shit when he was in the room with actual Coco, not just himself.
Right. So when he's sitting there like at the thing, they're like trying to get him to go, and he won't because she's forgetting Hector. That is when I think that's when
my second wave.
Yeah, that's when my second wave of tears started, and then just like Imelda just pushes the marigold petal into his chest, and then he like comes back, poof. Right, and then oh my god, then it's just like him completely like grief stricken, trying to keep Coco remembering her papa. Like it was just awful.
If you've ever been, you know, if you've ever known someone with dementia or
like
memory
Alzheimer's
issues,
or something.
it's really fucking hard to watch. It's actually devastating.
Yeah.
So I think that's where
the actual official waterworks started.
Yeah, because you know, and he's trying so hard,
right,
to get Coco to, you know,
remember him.
And then he plays the song, which actually like
is the words are "Remember Me."
Well, and
it's her father's song.
Yeah, and music is one of the best ways
triggers to bring you to a specific
trigger memories.
Yep.
So she, you know, her memories are triggered, and until that point, you know, she hadn't said a lot. She was pretty much nonverbal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, her hand starts to move.
Right.
And then she's, you know, kind of more animated and telling her daughter and her, you know, extended family, like, this story about.
And she recognized her daughter specifically, and
which she hadn't before.
Right, because they had withheld a bunch of like core parts of her life.
And then she's like, "Yep," and I kept all the letters that he sent.
Oh my God.
I kept the corner of the photo that my mother ripped.
Yes.
When she was heartbroken and probably regretted later.
Right.
That's where I was like, okay, I'm done.
Well, that, and it's like he experienced all of these people and then gets back to the real world, and there's only like one person who's connected to them, and she's failing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, like, I don't know. It broke me in a way. So the first time I watched this movie was right around when it came out in 2017.
Right.
And then I lost 2 grandfathers in like 18 months.
Yeah.
And watched this movie again like in 2021, and I was like, oh no.
Oh God.
No.
This
like,
was a mistake.
This movie will get you either way, but if you've lost grandparents, you will have a different experience than you would otherwise.
Maybe I should just watch this movie on December 30th and just have a ball fest, because
honestly, it triggers a very, very therapeutic ball fest.
Well, I mean, December 30th, 2017, I lost my dad's mom.
Right.
Or no. 2016, December 30th, I lost my mom's mom.
Right.
And then on the same day, 1 year later, I lost my dad's mom.
Yep.
So both of my grandmothers.
Yeah, if you want to, honestly, it does
1 year apart.
It does a good. I mean, you know, you've got a day to celebrate it. I guess.
I do have the day.
Yeah, so you might as well.
And then July 28th, I think, was my grandpa's day of death.
Yeah. So it's.
But yeah,
and then like the next year where like it revealed that Mama Coco had died and like was there. It's just like
I was nope. Okay.
Oh, and then they just like continue to kick you. They have Miguel singing a new song, and it's like you just and it's so pretty.
And then Hector and the Hector getting through the departure gate, meeting Imelda, and they kiss because they've made up.
Yes, and then
Coco
there.
comes over and
they walk down, and then you see him grab the guitar from Miguel. While oh my God!
Also, I loved that Miguel was at the ofrenda, like introducing his baby sister to like the family members, and he and his grandma had made up, like his abuela was like with him and proud of him for like he was in his own little mariachi uniform,
and it did a good job of like it showed it did a good job of showing how a family can like work through trauma. It's the same way why Encanto is powerful. It's the same deal. Like I kind of enjoy that Coco had a bad guy in some ways. Like I know a lot of the new Disney movies just like there is no bad guy, like it's just sort of like it's hypothetical, it's yourself, you know, kind of thing. But like, and that's fine. Like I think that's actually like not a bad storyline thing. I just think it was fun that they made it both kind of a romp, you know, like in a way, like it plays a little less heady. It's more like a romp. It's pretty easy to follow. But then at the end, it's like, oh, by the way, fuck you. And you're like, okay, I'm going to die now.
We need to inject all of the emotions because we're Pixar, and that's what we do
to you.
Because we're jerks.
So
who tell really good stories.
Right. For real. They make gorgeous visuals. Yes. They have great storytelling.
But also, fuck
you guys. No, it's it is one of my absolute favorite films for sure.
Yeah.
So another fun thing. So the song "Remember Me" actually charted. I believe it charted in Mexico because there was a pop singer in Mexico who did a cover of it.
Spanish version, I assume?
Yeah. So "Recuérdame" is how is the word is like the line in Spanish. and it works really well. So when they wrote the song, they had to write it so it could be sung like Ernesto de la Cruz does, where it's like big, remember me, this big, remember me,
that
big
big
epic
showboaty
thing. Yes, like a croonery, large song.
Before he got murdered by a bell.
Exactly, you get it. And then
it also had to be like that smaller one-person performance.
And then it also has
slow
to
and sad, or slow and gentle.
Yeah, slow and gentle. All the way, it has to be that big. It has to go down to a lullaby. And it also has to phonetically work to create the whole thing in Spanish.
Oof.
And they were able to do that. And the Spanish version is actually like really pretty.
Yeah.
Like it's a really pretty song. So
like the Spanish song in Encanto.
Yes.
Dos Oruguitos.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, so it's a phenomenal film. Well executed all around.
So good.
One of the best implementations of music in a Pixar movie.
Yes.
Like it has multiple performances. It's got a bunch of singers. All of the actors are singing their own stuff.
Yep.
And they all do a phenomenal job. It feels from the heart. The music feels good. It's Michael Giacchino, so it usually is.
Michael Giacchino also makes an appearance.
As a dead orchestra conductor, which is hilarious.
And also like glares at Ernesto de la Cruz and snaps his baton.
Amazing.
Just perfect. Like,
it's so good.
I liked that. I have questions about it, but I like that they were able, like the family was sort of able to redirect all of the Ernesto de la Cruz love to Hector, because all of the evidence they got from Mama Coco's diary that they were able to like redirect and show, and the fact that the public was so willing to denounce the guy. That was fun. Like I loved the remember me is engraved in his
forget you,
and then the forget you
so
across
good.
his statue. Like perfect.
Super good.
This was incredible. I hate you for it.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Yeah. We should rate it.
Yes, that was what I was about to pull up. All right, so let me go back to. Come on now. Why are we struggling? Come on. There we go.
Because I just watched a really emotional movie. Okay.
All right. Production design is a little different since animation, but I feel like we talked about it a little bit. I think it's one of the prettiest Pixar movies, and I'd be willing to give it a 5 for that.
Same.
Okay. Story rating.
4.8, I
4.8?
guess. If
Okay.
you want to.
Yep. I mean, we'll round up probably.
Yeah.
But performances.
10.
They are so. Everyone was so good. The whole voice cast is amazing.
Like, I think I mentioned before, Gael Garcia Bernal.
Yeah.
I know him mostly from Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is like a buddy. I mean, it's a coming of age movie set in Mexico. It's him and Diego Luna and this other lady whose name escapes me.
Sure.
But that movie makes him and Diego Luna forever linked in my mind.
I got it.
But this voice performance was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Especially for such a layered character.
Yeah.
Honestly, Hector just made the movie for me.
Yeah. Well, and he sang.
And he sang.
And
I
that
did not know
him.
that he sung.
I know. Oh, it was. Yeah. It's a treat. It was every single voice performance was a treat. You know, Miguel, the kid that I don't remember the kid's name, but did a really good job with him. It was stacked with
really great
Latino American, actors and Mexican actors. I think they got a great group, and Mama Imelda.
Oh my God,
she has an amazing voice.
Yes.
Like both speaking and singing. It's just so distinctive and so emotionally charged, and like it was good. It was so good. Everyone was great.
Yeah.
So we're giving that a 5. And what's happening? Oh, I just copied Coco for no good reason. Okay,
Classic.
That's fine. That's classic Ian. All right, cultural impact.
I've read, I think something on Tumblr,
Classic.
where someone went to see this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was this or any one of the movies that have just insane amounts of representation
Right.
of, non-white people.
Right.
And they were like, I took my dad to see this because he was a thing, choose your, maybe he was a mariachi or something. And
Right.
And he just sat in the theater and sobbed the whole time because he'd never seen
that kind of representation.
He'd never seen himself
right
up on the big screen.
Right.
Representation fucking matters, people.
It really does.
I'm sorry, all you white boys, when you're incels with your behind your computers who are sad that you don't see more white characters in media anymore.
No, and
your time is over.
And
you have 100 years worth of shit to go look back on.
You can be excited to look at some other people's stuff.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about this movie. To me, it felt like
I was learning.
Yeah, it was just a gorgeous window into something so colorful and so pretty and so heartfelt. I'm like, why would I not want to see that?
You learn a little about, Dia de Muertos in, elementary school or whatever when you're doing your Halloween unit, and then it kind of goes away in middle school and high school. And I remember making those tissue paper cutting things in elementary school, and I'm like, what were those things called? I remember learning about this stuff, but this is an active demonstration of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
This is also a really good spooky season movie because
that's usually when I watch it, because it's a different look at
spooky season,
right? From a different cultural perspective.
It's a completely different cultural perspective,
right? And I just think it's just it's such an interesting. It's a really cool tradition.
Yeah,
because it keeps the idea of connecting you to your ancestors alive in a way that feels very authentic and not just
I don't know
on ancestry.com all the time.
I don't know much about my ancestors past my great grandparents.
Right.
And by that, I mean anything.
Right.
I know their names. That's it.
Right. It's so wild. It is culturally significant to keep track of that information.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's super cool.
But anyway, so cultural impact. I think this is one of the early ones where Disney where somebody did something that was featured an all Mexican cast and all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm willing to give it a 4.5 or up.
I was gonna say I'm feeling kind of more of a 4.5 here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That puts us at number 3.
Wow.
So number 1 is Inside Out, number 2 is Snowpiercer, and number 3 is Coco.
Wow.
All the flip the scripts are at the top. Don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Am I just
I don't know.
Too easy of a grader? Or
no,
do you have better taste in movies?
No, I don't know that's I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
Audience, you decide what that means. I don't know. I'm not going to dig too deep into that.
That's really funny.
That is funny.
All right. Well, this has been a Flip the Script episode for spooky season.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Film School Slacker. I'm Ian.
I'm Megan.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Film School Slacker. Our graphic design is by Mitch Ransdell. Music by Ariel Shalom and Ziv Moran. Voiceover audio provided by Mike D and Janet Paoni. Learn more at filmschoolslacker.com.